1-800 at creditscoreman.com is where you can email me. Bank account overdrafts. Now, what about these? Do these negatively impact your credit score? No, they do not negatively impact your credit score because they're not on your credit report. And typically, when you have an overdraft, you don't really close the account. You just kind of like walk away or whatever. They don't typically send you to collections. That's when it would negatively impact your credit score. What they typically do is put you in a banking system, which is the checks system, CHEX system. That's where they put you to prevent you from going from bank A to bank B to bank C to bank D, because you're in that system and they won't allow you to open accounts, savings accounts, checking accounts, things of that nature. So that's where they put you to stop you from being able to use normal banking systems. And typically it's not in collections. If it went to collections, then yes, those overdraft fees would. Now, if you overdraft, you write a check for $6,000 and you got $6 in the bank, then they're probably gonna sue you. That's gonna and send you to collections, because that suit and judgment will not show up on your credit report anymore, but the collection absolutely will. So you just got to be careful about that. But typical bank overdraft fees, or you overdraft and they charge you $35, and the place you bounce the check at charge you another $35 and whatnot, that's not going to show up on your credit report unless they decide to sue you. But typically the bank is going to send you in the check systems, and you have a tough time trying to get another bank account. And so as a point of clarification for you, or something that you should do, if you fall in that particular situation and you know it's going down, I suggest you go open a different bank account before it hits check systems. I don't know how fast it hits check systems, but if you bounce that check and you know that you're not going back there to pay those fees, they're $35 times 10 or whatever it is, but you got a check coming in, I'm going to suggest you go to Bank B down the street and you get you an account before it hits the check system. All right. Now, a couple more things and we out of here. All right. Small debts. Small debts no longer count against you when it comes to credit. FICO, they're saying we don't care if it's $100 or less. If it's $100 or less and it's a collection, who cares? We're not factoring that in anymore to your credit report. I've had a client weigh in the past, negatively impacted his score. He had a collection for $2 on his credit report. $2. Now, of course, we didn't have to pay it. We called the company and said, hey, we got a collection for $2. They said, oh, man, that's ridiculous. We'll just remove it from your credit report, right? But it had negatively impacted his credit score at that time. It negatively impacted. You get a collection, it can hurt your score 60, 100 points, right? So that they no longer consider anything under $100 when it comes to FICO. Vantage is saying if it's $250 or less, we will no longer consider it when it comes to impacting your credit score. So do small debts impact your credit score? Well, now you know the numbers, what it impact your credit score. Do whatever you can to keep collections off of your credit report. Please do that. Just keep them off your credit report. So if you got to pay somebody $5 or promise to pay somebody $5 a month for the next how many ever years, then you promise them and you pay them $5 a month. Because you do not want a collection going on your credit report if you can stop it. If you can stop it. So there you go with the small debts. A couple more things and we out. So shopping for a loan. I've talked about this a whole bunch about shopping for loans. So will that negatively impact your credit score? Not necessarily, right? So every time we talked earlier, every time you go and you apply for credit somewhere, those inquiries are going to, hit your credit score, and it's going to go down. Experian is saying 5 points for every time you apply for credit, or 10 points every time you apply for credit. Vantage Score is saying we're dinging people 10 points or 20 points every time they apply for credit. So those things happen, right? But if you're shopping for listen to me now, if you're shopping for a car loan or a mortgage, you can go and get your credit looked at several times, and it's only going to count as one. So they're only going to ding you, let's call it 10 points. They're only going to ding you 10 points, even though you got your credit ran 7 times looking for this particular car, right? It's only going to ding you those 10 points, not 10 times 7. All right, so all of them will show up on your credit report, each one of those inquiries, but they're only going to deduct 10 points from you. Now, you only have a certain period of time to do this. Now, I've always cautioned people to do it within 14 days. That's because the older versions of FICO, it was 14 days. You never know which version a company is using. Was the car dealership, or is the banks that the car dealerships are using, or whatever finance companies, they could be using FICO 5. If they're using FICO 5, then they only have a 14-day window because their system has not updated to the new stuff. So I say 14 days if you're looking for a vehicle. Same thing if you're looking for a mortgage. Exact same thing. I'm going to tell you 14 days. Typically, that's what I'm going to tell you. It's 14 days because you should be able to go to a few places, put those applications in, and pick the one that's best within the 14 days. When it comes to mortgage companies, though, typically they have the most up-to-date FICO. Typically. So FICO 10 is now, but each company does not have to update. They got to pay for the updates. They don't always do it. That's why people are stuck on FICO 5 or FICO 7. So typically a mortgage company has the most up-to-date. In the most up-to-date FICO systems, you have up to 45 days to go ahead and get your credit ran as many times as you want to for a mortgage, as many times as you want to for a vehicle. The system is smart enough to know that you're not buying 7 cars. They know you're only going to buy 1 car and you're rate shopping or approval shopping for your car. So I'm going to say for risk averseness sake, if that's a word, 30 days. 30 days. So from the first day to the 30th day, you can go and get it looked at many times you want to. Yes, it's going to show up on your credit report, each and every one of them, but they're only going to take, from our example, 10 points off of your credit report and not 10 times 10, 10 times 20, right? Only for a car or a mortgage. Now listen, I had a young lady come to me about getting a vehicle. She went to the dealership. They ran her credit a bunch of times, right? Then I suggested to her, go to her own bank. She has a relationship there. Go to your bank. She ended up getting approved through all of the places, but the interest rate was better at the bank. Well, while she was in this applying mode, she said to me, well, since I was, doing all this applying and, I got 14 days or whatever, because I was telling her 14 days, I went and applied for this credit card. Well, that's not the same thing. That's outside of the car thing. So you're going to get dinged for the credit card one, and you're going to get dinged for the car one. So, but her mindset was that when I'm doing all this applying, all of it's going to apply to the, only getting dinged one time. That's not the case. Same thing with a mortgage. If you go and you apply for a mortgage a bunch of times, and then you step out of that mortgage realm and you go apply for a credit card and or you go apply for a vehicle, then those are separate, different things, right? So only when you're shopping for a car or a mortgage, you can go ahead and ball out if you want to, have everybody and their mom look at you on those windows. I would suggest you stick within 30 days because you never know. I'm still more comfortable with the 14 days, but you take your chances out there, all right? See how many points you get. Last but not least, how many credit cards is too many credit cards and whatnot, and does that impact your credit score? So it does impact your credit score, on some basis, but you can have 20 credit cards. That's not negatively going to impact your credit score if you got them over time. If you go to the mall and you just go walk around and you apply to all of them, that's going to kill you. It's not a car, it's not a mortgage, right? So that's going to kill you, and you'll get dinged for each one of those things that you apply for. So don't do that. Don't do that. But you do need more than one credit card. People with the best credit scores, with excellent credit, have anywhere between 6 and 7 credit cards. They did not get them all at the same time. They do not hold a balance on all of them either. They just happen to have 6 or 7 credit cards. Some are Visas and MasterCards. Some of them are store cards, whether it's a Lord & Taylor or Neiman Marcus or a Target card. They have those cards as 6 to 7 cards in total that they have. So you can have just one or 2 credit cards, and that is perfectly fine because you do have them. You're getting points for them, right? When it comes to that credit mix, which is one of the 5 pillars of credit for you, when it comes to the credit mix, it might be a little short for them. However, if that's what you can handle, that's what's good for you, you're not doing it all at the same time, then you need to stick with what works for you. You got that? Stick with what works for you. That's what I got. I dispelled all those myths. See what truly impacts your credit score. Thank you for listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I will be back next week. I promise, I guarantee I will be back next week. So come back and listen to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. Before I get out of here, you know how I got to do it. Kobe, Cameron, and Carter, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm out.